I want to continue a series that Pastor Chad started last week. It is I Love My Church. And could y'all just scream that to the top of your lungs? I love my church. Oh, no, y'all can do better than that. I love my church. There you go. For the people in the back, they can hear you now. I love that. In this series, throughout this entire series, actually, we're going to start walking through what it means to love your church. And I love this church. I love the opportunity that not only we get to come here every single Sunday, the people in it. I love the people in this church. I love the community that we built in this church. I love church and unchurched people alike. It makes no difference. I have love for you. I love to see you guys' face every single Sunday. And it's just a great honor to not only stand on this platform and get to deliver a message, but to people I love and people that get it. And even though people that don't get it, I love still talking to you guys. And I kind of want to journey into a verse, Ephesians 1, 20 and 23. It's in the Message version, and it says this. All this energy issues from Christ. God raised him from death and set him on a throne in deep heaven, in charge of running the universe, everything from the galaxies to governments. No name, no power is exempt from his rule. And not just for this time being, but forever. He's in charge of it all and has the final word on everything. At the center of all this, Christ rules the church. The church, you see, is not peripheral to the world. The world is peripheral to the church. The church is Christ's body in which he speaks and acts, by which he fills everything with his presence. And just kind of to join my voice with Whitney, I don't know about you guys, but we can look at that last line there. It says the church is Christ's body in which he speaks and he acts, by which everything fills with his presence. And one thing that reminds me of this is life groups. Life groups have such a great response when we pour into life groups, when we focus in on our life groups. And if you're not a part of a life group this summer, I encourage you. There's multiple ways to sign up for a life group. And if you need any help, you can see anybody at guest services. You can see myself after this experience. And I want to help you get connected to a life group. Some of your best friends might be found in a life group. For all those single people, maybe your significant other might be found in a life group. The person you're looking for to grow with, the person you're looking for to accept those challenges and walk with you are in life groups. Like Pastor Chad said, we're not a church with life groups, we're a church of life groups, right? We do life together at Life Church. And our goal is to encourage you to see Jesus in the church and serve Jesus through the church. Because God's perspective is that the world is peripheral and the church is the focus. It's his own body. The reason for this is church, it's God's hope for the world. And this world is in need of God's hope. So he focuses on the church. And he speaks and he's committed to that same task still to this day. In the story, which is found in Luke 15, 11 through 31, most of you probably have heard about the story of the prodigal son. And that story is a fascinating story. I encourage all of you to go read it. But the prodigal son, and I'm going to kind of describe the story for those of you who don't know. It's a younger son who wants an inheritance. And his father gives it to him, so the son leaves. And the son then spends all of his inheritance just on wild living. All right? Now, at that point, after the son has lost everything, he decides to find himself a job, which is the only thing he can do is actually feed pigs. He doesn't know anything right there, but now he's looking for food, he's starving, and he realizes that he needs to go back to his father. He needs to go back and get forgiveness from his father. Actually, he also says that he has sinned against heaven and against his father. And now he comes back to his father forgives him, and his father welcomes him back home, and his father then throws him a huge party. And at this party, his older brother comes home. And his older brother is, lack of a better word, he's frustrated. He's frustrated with the father for allowing his younger son, who spent all of his inheritance, to come back into the fold like nothing happened and just accept him exactly who he is. And I know that in Luke 15 and 31 through 32 says, "My son, the father said, you are always with me, and everything I have is yours. But we had to celebrate and be glad because your brother, this brother of yours, was dead and is alive again. He was lost and he is found. And I know most of the time we pay so much attention to, when we look at this story, we look at the prodigal son and how he returned and how his father forgave him and accepted him right back into the fold. But in this instance, I kind of want to look at something a little bit different, if you guys will bear with me. I kind of want to focus on actually the father. The father, if you look at the focus of the father, he's actually in a bit of a spot with tension. He's in a space of tension because on one side, he has a son that is welcoming back that is full of shame. He's really not in a great space, but he still comes back anyway. And then you have another son who's frustrated, who's a little bit upset with his father. And most of us can see that the father in this story now, from that perspective, is kind of put in the middle of two sons. He desperately wants his sons to just accept that your brother's home, be okay with it. Hey, your brother came back. I know you're frustrated. Be okay with it. But in this space, somebody can look at this story from that perspective and see, well, this brother was right and this brother is wrong. Well, how can a dad not take this side versus the other? And one of the answers to that, quite honestly, is that the father had grace for the prodigal son, and he had compassion for the frustrated son. The compassion, he just didn't tell him, the frustrated son, the older son, man, you need to get over that. Your brother home, I don't want to hear it. I'm tired of this. Just come on, let's enjoy the party. Don't be sulking and be upset, walking around all grumpy and things like that. You need to, be accepting that your brother came back. But the father has to have compassion in that moment. You don't want to write him off because make his feelings feel inadequate. So what does the father do? The heart the father has to be an open heart. It has to be open to the lost and open to the broken, open to the committed and the faithful, open to actually everybody. Just like the church. The church is an imperfect place, but it's still the church. I'm going to say that again. The church is an imperfect place, but it is still the church. It says this in Acts 14, 27 and 28. Throw the door of faith wide open so people of all nations can come streaming in. The Father's heart is to have all and not just a few. Imperfect people in the church go hand in hand. I was talking to my partner, where he at? Brother Maury. And Jamarian, he wants to, let's tell the story, wants to join the gym, right? He wants to get in shape. He wants to get ready for football season coming up. Now, most of you guys who are part of the gym, and for those of you who have the strength to stay with it since January, because it was your New Year's resolution, some of us might have tapered off. But imagine him walking into the gym and somebody's just looking at him and judging him like, I can't believe he got the nerve to be in here. Look at him. He's not even in shape. He did one pull-up. He passed out doing chin-ups. Right? He about as strong as a wet paper bag. But if the church acted like that, and sometimes we do see the imperfect church acting like that, I can't believe she got the nerve to walk up in here. Boy, you know what she did last night? I can't believe he got the nerve. Do you know he was talking with on the side? We have to realize that this place, all churches are imperfect. But we also have to look at the purpose of the church. We can't confuse or take out of context when Jesus was talking and telling this story to those religious leaders. It was asking them basically to challenge him on how he would approach sin and sinners, rather than confusing anybody, because the leaders at that time were trying to always trap Jesus. Rather than seeing the purpose of the people that Jesus was with, they chose to judge the people of who they were. Matthew 16:18 says this, and I tell you that you are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church, and the gates of Hades will not overcome it. It's significant if you look at this when Peter, who is actually changed, because Jesus changed his name from Simon, which is a reed that blows in the wind, to Peter, which is the rock. Peter is an ordinary person. Almost nothing special about him. He's full of sin. He's full of doubt. And let's be honest, he's human. And in spite of it all, Jesus still chose to use him. So when I look at that, he's an imperfect person that God decided to say, all the people who are messed up, all the people who have hurts, who have hang-ups, who have bad habits, I'm still going to use you for good in this world. I'm going to change the narrative of what the world sees you as. And when they see you, they see me. When we focus on people at church versus God's purpose through his church, it causes frustration, it causes strife, and it causes discouragement, quite honestly. Now, once again, the capital C church is imperfect. And Pastor Chad told us last week, if you feel perfect and you go to this perfect church, you might not want to go because you're going to ruin it, right? You're going to just mess it all up. But how many times in recent years have we seen allegations of spiritual leaders in some type of sexual misconduct? How many times have we seen mishandling of funds in the church? There's all kind of imperfect people in the church. It's imperfect, but we're saved by grace. We have grace for these people. Another thing that we might experience also that's imperfect, a lot of us, quite honestly, is gossip. Even though we might try to walk away from it, even though it's enticing at times, what do we do when we challenge with that? Because you could be sitting in the lobby, you could be going to the bathroom, and you can hear, God. Did you hear about such and such? You might walk up on a conversation, bruh. Man, I ain't tell you. Right? What do we do in those situations? How do we handle those situations? We still deal with imperfect people, but we also need to love them. And we have to have grace and compassion for where people are. We don't just kick people out or run people off. Even though sometimes the uninitiated, those who are not churched, walk into the building with expectations. Let's be honest. You have expectations on myself. You have expectations on Pastor Chad. We are imperfect people. But we have to realize that we are all still striving to get to the place where God is intended for us. So we need to separate human weaknesses and our sin nature from the people, from the infallible purpose of God's church, because it's still God's mission for the church of the world. In 1 Timothy 3:14 and 15, although I hope to come to you soon, I'm writing you these instructions so that if I am delayed, you will know how people ought to conduct themselves in God's household, which is the church of the living God, the pillar and the foundation of the truth. Now notice the Apostle Paul writes this, and if we actually pay attention to it, you're watching him separate conduct of people from the purpose of the church. Sure, he's laying down instructions telling people how to act and how to conduct themselves in God's house. But he's also declaring that the church is still the heaven appointed, it's still the heaven anointed, it's still God's church, it's still the pillar, foundation, and truth, and which is why, with all her faults, all her blemishes, we still have to remember to credit the church, because it is still carrying God's truth on this earth. It is still God's plan of truth. It is still in his heart that he's working in the church. He's working through the church to change this planet. He's changing it through baptism. He's changing it through salvation. He's changing it through marriage after marriage. And remember, we have to pray for one another as we go through this, as we continue giving each other grace. I remember when we first got to Life Church, my wife and I, on both of the screens, when actually the stage was facing this way and the two screens were still on the sides, they used to have almost every church, every week, a couple of churches, they'll roll them. This church, and the pastor who led those churches. And it was to not only pray for those churches and pray for those communities and pray for those congregations, it was also standing on, something different, because it was saying that we're not in the gang. It's not your church versus my church. We want to cover all churches. We want to call all spiritual leaders. Because just like you might not know it, all leaders need prayer. They need to be covered in prayer. They have some tough decisions to make. When you are guiding and leading people lives in a spiritual manner, you need to be covered in prayer as well. So I know it's easy to say that, but we have to surround ourselves with some great people that are in this church. I've talked to my team before. Everything we need is in the church. Everything you need is in the church. When you're looking for something, when you're looking for an opportunity, when you're looking for ministries to be built, it's in the church already. They might have somebody sitting in the congregation at this point in time who loves sports. Who loves sports. It ever dawned upon that person to say, you know what, I need to do something with that. I can coach, I can help out. What if we started like a church league for youth? What if we took all the churches that, don't get along or people think don't like each other, and what if we started some type of league with sports? That's a great opportunity. Now, we already have a couple of different ministries in this house, but God has put a dream, God has put a thought, God has put an idea on every single one of us of a ministry, of a mission that he has us on. Sometimes we have to step out in faith and believe that God is backing us, God is with us. And when we surround ourselves with the positive and encouragement of this church, of this life-giving church, we're going to watch this community change every single opportunity that we have. So let's go a little bit different instead of the Vogue way of doing things. And if you guys know Vogue magazine, right, they're going to go whatever's hot, whatever's cliche, whatever's new. They want to be a part of the newest thing out there. And I just encourage us, let's stay vintage. Bobby mentioned it in his offering talk where the old church, it was a community. When you were sick, they shunned you, right? You couldn't be a part of that because you would affect everybody else in that community. But also in that community, it came accountability. It came to a point where when you were struggling with something, the church backed you. When you celebrated something, a birthday, somebody getting married, the church was there to celebrate with you. It was a family. It was all inclusive. It wasn't exclusive. So when we get to that point, we have to look at that. We have to separate people who are, once again, imperfect and have sin nature for the purpose of the church. That's why I love my church. I love walking in here on Sundays. And I know Miss Elaine probably is not in here, but I don't know if y'all know this, man. I love Miss Elaine. Boy, she fired you up. Every single Sunday morning when I get to walk in here, I see her in Serve Team Central. She'll get her a snack, and she'll get us something to drink. She'll dust her hands off, and she'll get ready to go. She'd meet me in the front lobby, and she'll put her hand up, and I give her a high five. She said, Pastor G, how you feeling today? And I tell her with an honest response, I'm feeling 10 foot tall and bulletproof. And she said, well, what happens if you get attacked by the bear? You might want to help that bear. You might want to help the bear. Matter of fact, pour honey on me, because he's going to stick around so I can whip him just a little bit longer. But that's how she gets me fired up for every single Sunday morning when I'm leading worship, where I'm praying for somebody. It's the opportunity. I need people like that in my lives. I need somebody to also hold me accountable. When somebody sees me, Pastor G, that's not you. You didn't wake up. You once woke up on the wrong side of the bed. I need somebody. Miss Elaine called me one time. I was on the phone with my wife, and I hung up. We were talking about something, and I just hung up. And she got it in my face. It was a life-giving way. It was a life-giving way. She said, what was that? I said, what? I was on the phone with Christy. No. Every time you get off that phone, you need to tell that woman you love her, because you don't know the next time you might not get to see her. And she needs to know the last thing she heard out of your mouth was, I love you. She held me accountable. So right then and there, I called her. Hey, baby, I'm sorry. I didn't tell you I love you. That's on me. That's my fault. Oh, that's okay. I love you too. I'm telling y'all, she liked to slap me. But in those moments, I had to recognize that this person in this church, not only she gets me fired up, she also holds me accountable when she sees I'm out of line. When she saw something that's not how we do things. Especially in a marriage, that's not how you do something. That you tell that person you love them. And it's common even to this day where you'll hear people, I don't really want to be a part of anything like that. It's easy to say that I love Jesus, but I don't love the church. And some people right now, it's the whole cliche, it's vogue to do that. I don't really like the church. I love Jesus, but I don't really like you. Like Pastor Chad said last week, that's like somebody tell me, Pastor G, I love you, but I can't stand your wife. I will punch you in the face. In Jesus' name. In Jesus' name. But when we run across those people, what I'm going to call them like that, those Danny disgruntles. Danny left the church several years ago. He prays alone on his back porch, or sometimes he prays alone in the woods. And on Sunday mornings, he gives it all to God. And he likes Jesus, but he can't stand Christians. He likes God, but he hates religion. Now, I'm going to be honest with y'all, and it's just the only way I know how to be. I love our online family. I love our online family. I remember when COVID hit, we had the opportunity because we were already up and running with our AV system, and we just had the opportunity to still continue to do church. We didn't let COVID be a barrier from sharing the message and worshiping God. And I know I love the online community because we have such a far reach. If I heard things that, man, I've been watching you guys all the way in California. I've been watching you guys all the way, in the northern states. We have families that, on a vacation right now watching these experiences. We have folks that might be working offshore on, their 21s that are watching and gathering people around the phone or around the TV, watching the messages. And Bobby, I told you in this first experience, we might lose a couple viewers, quite honestly, but, I truly believe we are so effective when we're in the house of God, not just only watching online. As a matter of fact, you can never effectively use the spiritual giftings of God sitting on the couch. Because believe it or not, your gifts are not for you. They're not for you. When God gave you something, he didn't give it for you. He gave it for you to use for other people. So if you have that ability, and God bless your heart to deal with children, because there's a special type of people who have that capacity to just love on kids, regardless of what they're going through. Sometimes I just want to put a Velcro vest on my son and stick him on the wall. As cute as he is, I was like, man, he's adorable. Like, yeah, he's a terrorist. He's definitely a terrorist. But it's one of those things that if you have that heart, if God gave you that, what are you doing with it? If you have vocal ability or the ability to play an instrument, and some of you, you do, are you worshiping God? Are you using that gifting to do it for God? When the worship team steps on this stage, and I'm a part of that, I'm not singing a song. I'm worshiping God. And I get to lead people into the worship of God. That's the difference. Again, imperfect person, but God is still using me. So when we meet those Danny disgruntles and those people who, I like my YouTube pastor. He feeds me exactly what I need. I can, go through the motions. And I used to be one of those persons. My wife and I also first started coming to this church. We timed it perfectly. We would walk in right as worship was ending. We'll listen to the news. We'll shake a couple hands. Hey, how you doing, sister? I love you. Oh, brother, this is nice. Oh, I hope you're blessed. We'll sit down for about 35 minutes, listen to Pastor Chad. And as soon as he starts finishing, wrapping things up, he'll ask everybody to stand. And, that's our cue. And we'll start walking out. But then something convicted us of that. Quite honestly. We started meeting people in the church. It's easy to say, no one talks to me, no one likes me, no one loves me. I come here every single Sunday and I'm just here. No, you're not. You're part of a community, but I have to get activated. Just like a phone call works both ways, saying good morning and hello works both ways. So when we have those opportunities in this house and we're getting connected, think about that. How can I make a difference in God's house? How can I be a part of the life change and the world change that God is ministering through us? So let's go vintage like the old church and not vogue like this new phenomenon that's spreading the country of I don't have to go to church. I don't need fellowship. I don't need Christians to be around me. I love Jesus. He is my God. And that's all I need because I don't like people. We're a community. I love my church. I don't know what I would do without my church. Those of you in this house, those of you watching online, when you lost somebody, the church surrounded you. Your family surrounded you. When you lost your job and you were looking for another opportunity, your church surrounded you. When your children were not exactly how you want them to be or where they were, the church surrounded you. Those of us going through marital struggles, the church surrounded you. Pastor Chad and Pastor Amanda continue to lead this church, regardless of what's going on in their world. They drop everything for this house. Our response can be, and it should be, how can I be there for my church because I love my church? If you have the ability to pray, and you see these folks every time coming up here, whatever's on anybody's heart, whatever's on anybody's mind, they still come up here for prayer. And they receive that and they pray with you. They pray boldly with you. And I know Pastor Jessica stands over here and you got to take a ticket, you know, because everybody wants to pray with Pastor Jessica because she's so effective with it. I know it. It almost makes you cry. It's like, I don't know what I'm crying for, but man, you're awesome, right? It's one of those things that I could do that too. I can cover somebody in prayer. If your sister and brother are hurting, can I pray with you? I don't know what to say. I don't have the words, but I know if I open my heart and I open my mind, God's going to give me what to say in that moment. I never dealt with some of the struggles maybe any of you have dealt with, but I give it to God and I say, God, just use me in this moment. I don't know what to tell a person in this moment. I don't know what to say to that man. I don't know what to say to this woman, but I'm trusting in you to continue to use me effectively in the house. Like I said, effectively, to use your giftings effectively, be in the house of God. Because our gifts are not for us. I've never seen an apple tree eat an apple. I've never seen an orange tree eat an orange. That's because it's a fruit. It's for other things. It's for other people. Continue to be that response in this church. As we stand, we deal with a lot of stereotypes as a church. We deal with a lot of preconceived ideas and thoughts of how church is or how that church is, and I don't like this and I don't like that. This person over here or this person does this. I don't like this person because of this, or who they like or who they aspire to be, who they voted for, what movies they watch. Imperfect people are in this church. But remember, the purpose of the church is to make a difference in the world. So the challenge this morning, what environment are you creating in the church? What is your response in this church? What are you disciplining yourself? Who is holding you accountable? What team do you serve on? What life group are you a part of? The church is still the church. And I love this church. So starting today, let's be the church. Let's be the church. Let's lift up the church. Let's encourage church. Let's fight for the church. Let's pray for the church.